Well, this is Daniel Pinchbeck. I'm here for Underground Thought for New World for New York natives, and I'm excited to be here with Raoul Martinez, the director, co-director of an amazing new documentary. Raoul, you want to tell us about your film a little bit, the name and all that?
Sure, yeah. The film is called The Lottery of Birth. It's the first film in a series called Creating Freedom, which is going to have 3 films in it. It really explores the idea that our starting point in life is one that we don't control. We don't choose where we're going to be born, we don't choose our parents, we don't even choose our genes. In fact, all the forces that shape our identity are beyond our control.
How do you know?
Well, actually, you can establish it logically by a simple argument. Because any force that you think, to exert a control, you have to exist as an identity already, be it physical or spiritual, right? So even a god couldn't create it or her or himself, right? So it's a power that we wouldn't expect or shouldn't expect a human being to have. We can't create ourselves, and therefore we can't be completely responsible for who we are.
Let's go back to your basic concept. Obviously, there's like an Eastern mystical idea of reincarnation, that actually we do kind of choose the circumstances of our own birth.
Sure, we can explore that, but reincarnation, you still have to. If you follow that back, you're going to get to a point of either infinite regrets, or you're going to get to a point where you didn't exist and you were created by something. And both cases, it's hard to establish a case. In fact, I think it's impossible to establish a case for being responsible for who you are. The basic concept is, it's exploring the notion of freedom, and it's exploring the notion of freedom in a number of domains. So it looks at it from the point of view of economics and philosophy and politics and psychology. And one of the aims of the project is really to say that the kind of contemporary narrative of freedom, of free markets, of free media, free elections, it's largely illusory, and it's illusory for a number of reasons. And to attain a more meaningful freedom, we have to engage in actually creating it. It's an active, it's a process. And central to that process is the act of questioning the forces that shape who we are, and thinking deeply and reflectively about what we truly value, and what we want to do with our lives and our choices, and what we want to create.
And in the movie, you talk about how kind of forces have conspired in modern society in a way to keep people in a state of ignorance or control. I was especially struck by the section around the Trilateral Commission and their report on the crisis of democracy. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that's important for your overarching thesis?
Yeah, well, once you establish that either 100% or a large percentage of our identity is shaped by forces we don't control, well, the next question is, well, who does shape us? If we don't shape ourselves, who's responsible for it? And looking historically and just at our lives and the society that you have, it becomes quite clear quite quickly that the people who have the power to shape us tend to want to shape us in a way that is going to benefit their interests. So advertisers want to shape us in ways that are going to mean that we're going to buy more of their product. The state is more likely, and this is what you were referring to in the film, the state's more likely to want to educate us to fit into the system as it is, rather than give us the tools to change it. Now, freedom depends not on simply conforming and obeying, which is, I think, a big part of the education system and, a big part of religious indoctrination and many forms of shaping. What's essential is we play an active part in a sense of recreating our identity. And with that, our society. So collectively, we're not simply conforming to what's there, but we're thinking about how to improve it. Can we do things better? Can we educate ourselves better? Can we have a more democratic society, one which doesn't destroy the conditions that we all depend on to exist?
A lot of people are now concerned, obviously, about the ecological crisis. They're looking at potential of 6-degree temperature rise this century, if not more, which would lead to the extinction of 95% of all species, potentially. How does that influence your thinking about the future and what you see as like the creative potential of this time?
We are actively and knowingly destroying the conditions that we depend on to survive, and not just us, but many other species. It's the greatest challenge of our time, and I would hope that the message of this film and the notion of questioning and trying to actually in a sense, trying to take responsibility for the effect we have on the world, can help us together to find a solution to this.
And what do you hope to cover in the second and third parts?
In the second part of the film, we really look at the kinds of forces that we face in modern Western democracies that are shaping our identity. So we look at the mainstream media, we look at the history of PR, which is really intertwined with the emergence of democracy. Because as soon as you give people more freedom politically, it becomes ever more important to control their identities, so that that freedom isn't used to change society in ways that will be detrimental to the interests of the few. And so we explore this idea from various angles, and we also look at the role of the economy and the justifications that economists have put forward. Now the third part is, look, if you're going to tell people that things are bad, at some point they're going to say, fine, what are we going to do next? How are we going to change them? And so we look at alternatives and societal alternatives, and actually we're hoping to look at what's already being done in practice on the ground by many creative yet unknown individuals around the world and communities.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. And the film opens in New York next Friday.
Yeah, it's premiering at Tribeca Grand on the 21st.
Awesome.
And then it's going to be the reRun theater for a week.
Great,
so please come down.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.